Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. No matter what kind of day, week, month, or even year you're having, BetterHelp can, well, help. It's an online therapeutic resource that will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, all from the comfort of your home. Does it get any better than that? To get started, head to betterhelp.com/CinemaSins. Answer a few questions about your state of mind, and before you know it, you'll be matched with a therapist who will work with you. Oh yeah, and you also get 10% off your first month when you click that link below. Now, on to the show. This movie exists. Also, Disney. Also, this 21st century fanfare to this outdated 20th century logo goes on for just enough time to be annoying. And in a movie that blows past 2.5 hours, every second wasted seems even more egregious. In fact, just for breaking the 150-minute barrier, I'm doubling any and every sin that results in more of my time wasted. Purchased by the New York Housing Authority. I don't even care if this was intentional. Double thes are a sin, and because the brain doesn't even notice them half the time. These Spielberg Easter eggs are already out of control. Lincoln Center? What's next? Tin Stadium? War Horse Concert Hall? Let's get this out of the way right now. This movie is packed with absolutely astonishing camera work and visuals. This opening one shot is just one of many astounding pieces of cinema in this movie. I'm not going to stop to recognize everyone because I'm me, but the fact that Spielberg still has the wrecking balls to pull this off over 50 years after he started making movies is worth a few sins off. Learjets. There is something truly criminal about this dancing. This convenient cinematic fence vandalism.
Beat it.
Oh, but you wanna be bad? Loading your paintbrush like an asshole. You just dip the bristles halfway and do a couple of light taps on the can to bleed some of the excess. Is that so hard? Also, I understand not going with a gloss finish for an exterior wall, but I wouldn't recommend flat either. Movie doesn't know how to satin or eggshell correctly. You can't wait this long to do your warning whistle. Anybody knows that. Well, I mean, technically, anybody's didn't know that, obviously, but anybody that's not anybody's should have. I see the Prometheus School of Dance has added a running directly at the falling produce elective to the curriculum. Also in this shot, the watermelons are falling off the truck into the middle of the road. Then in this shot, they have shifted to the side of the road and, based on the new placement of the shadow, somehow changed the position of the sun. Catching this guy was super nice, yes, but running a nail through his ear was not. Might even be worse than letting him fall. Just saying, pick a lane. The two would-be generals spot each other across the battlefield and approach each other through the melee to fight, and somehow no one stops them with an errant swing or kick cliché. Catching a bloody nail just because someone throws it in your direction.
A boxer and a singer.
I know, right? What's next? A scientist and a woman? A rat and a chef? A YouTube narrator and a murder mystery author? When the Court is Waist High, available now.
One step ahead of the wrecking ball.
One swing ahead of the sword. Come on, this is a musical. It's owned by Disney. You could totally break into an Aladdin song here. And don't try to play the artistic integrity card with me. This whole movie is 100% regurgitated material, so your moral high ground is drowning at the bottom of the Marianas Trench at this point.
How tall did you used to be before you shrank?
Thinking a simple pun where you just riff on someone's name is worth keeping in your creative masterpiece. Riff is singing that jets are jets from their first cigarette to their last dying day, and honestly, from what I can tell in this movie, he's basically the only one that even smokes, so this may be a gang of one. Also, later they will throw around phrases like womb to tomb, which I can only assume, based on the appropriate literal interpretation of all musical lyrics, means that jets smoke while in the womb. And honestly, I've never thought smoking was cool, but fetus smoking? The coolest! Jet walking?
Womb to tomb.
Sperm to worm.
Sperm to worm. That's like setting a destination in maps only to find out you're already at the address you entered. There's a box of pet milk up here, and even if you happen to know that this is an evaporated milk company, it's still worth a sin that somebody named their company Pet Milk.
I know that this dust that's covering everything right now, that's the 4-story buildings that was standing here.
And also human skin. Don't forget the human skin. This issue of Coronet magazine is from June of 1951, but the 1458 model of the Rockola jukebox wasn't produced until 1958. While I reluctantly assume this isn't a time-traveling jukebox, I'm still giving Valentina a sin for trying to sell these outdated publications.
Leave Tony alone. He is not allowed to associate with criminals.
Careful, Valentina. You're the one with the pinball machine in your drugstore, and that wasn't legalized in New York until 1976. That's right, pinball was the marijuana of the 60s, and you didn't even know it. I mean, marijuana was also the marijuana of the 60s, but you get my point.
I sweep as good as you pay.
Yeah?
Look it.
That is not a reflection you would get from sweeping a tile floor. That's not even a reflection you would get from mopping a tile floor. That's a reflection you would get from digital affecting a tile floor. Do these slide gates auto-lock? Is there no latch or key or anything? Can you lock and unlock them on the app? I guess having all the window signs, a legal pinball machine, jukebox, and store lights on the same switch can come inconvenient for a time like this, but in general, wouldn't Tony and Valentina need some light to find their way to the living quarters?
It wouldn't look like a shroud if it was red. Con los muertos no se juega, huh?
Spielberg makes an interesting and beautiful decision in this movie to let the characters speak their own language without spoon-feeding the English subtitles, which I'd love to take a sin off for, except whoever did the subs I'm watching makes the interesting and frustrating choice in the closed captioning to only put some of the Spanish words in the subtitles and then use conversing in Spanish for the rest. This creates an entirely different experience for the hearing impaired and also ignores bilingual viewers who would like to see the subtitles in both languages as they are said.
Chino, mi primer baile en Nueva York, and I have to go with the zángano.
Maria is addicted to Chino.
Maria can't like a lambe ojo who just works day and night.
Chino's a dick to himself. Not letting someone drink the water you just gave them. Dancing this intensely on a basketball hardwood floor in these kinds of shoes. All I'm saying is, don't come crying to me when Jimmy Chitwood breaks an ankle because your stilettos took a chunk out of his driving lane. Is it weird that it makes it worse for me when musicals have dance numbers that are actually dance situations in real life? Now that these guys are dancing in an actual dance, I think it's supposed to be real. So my suspension of disbelief takes a break and I start asking questions like, did they all plan this spacing ahead of time? How do they all know exactly where to go? Is there any possible way every single street kid on the Upper West Side is this good of a dancer? And most importantly, who the f called everyone about the color coordination?
Oye, Javi! Ponle fuego! Vamos!
This entire band listens to a student instead of the dance coordinator. I'm not sure how much money the San Juan Hill Serenaders have put away to be able to risk a gig like this, but I'm guessing it's less than who the f is paying a full 12-piece band of this caliber in San Juan Hill to play at a local dance dollars. The two would-be lovers spot each other across the dance floor and approach each other through the melee to f, and somehow no one stops them with an Aaron Swinger kick cliche. These TARDIS bleachers are definitely bigger on the underside.
I never seen you before.
Skip! Officer Krupke overhears something is going down, watches them all head to the bathroom, and doesn't follow? I know his incompetence is the joke, but he's also over-eager and over-intrusive, so what's he doing out here while the meet's going on?
Rocks.
Bricks.
Pipes.
What are things that Mario uses to find items? I'll take out-of-context jokes that aren't really a sin of the movie for 500 of mine. The movie uses this garbage man as a stand-in light grip to justify the lighting changes, but this area already looks pretty clean to me. Your job is done, man. Go home before they trick you into hanging some laundry to dry for atmospheric effect. Tony is threatening to never stop saying Maria, and after saying it a total of 27 times, I believe him.
What are you doing, spooking around como una rata?
Tony's need to sing all over the West Side has conveniently led to him trespassing behind the correct apartment building.
Can I come up?
No.
But I found you.
Right, because finding someone means you have a right to climb up into their house. No means no, Ansel. I mean Tony.
There's nobody who everybody likes.
Fred Rogers deniers. This balcony scene is always where I remember that West Side Story is just a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but with smart updated changes for a modern audience. So this version of West Side Story is a copy of a reinvention. If you're going to redo it, the least you could do is continue to adapt it. If only there were a 2021 musical that updated those themes of dreams, racial tension, and love set in a borough of New York with new music, incredible show-stopping dance numbers, and amazing performances. A movie like that would dominate once we were in the heights of the awards season, right?
What's your name?
She doesn't know his name? They're already talking about running away with each other, and she doesn't know his name? Also, why is the movie selling this moment as a goodbye when Maria and Tony are about to segue into a 5-minute song?
You gotta see me tomorrow. Nobody else.
Being this possessive of someone who just learned your name 10 seconds ago, and someone who just learned your name 10 seconds ago being smitten by you being this possessive. We are still in the midst of Tonight, and yeah, it's a classic, but it's also part of the bullshit romantic industrial complex with lyrics about love at first sight, blah blah miracles, blah blah let's run away together. It's hormones. You're horny. Enjoy it. But can we please stop equating physical attraction with eternal unconditional love? Those are completely different things. And there are countless people in very difficult situations because our culture taught them that they were the same.
Tomorrow night?
I work.
But you're running away with the dude. Can you imagine? Let's run away together tomorrow. I'll leave all the family and friends that I've known without warning and start over with you, but, I really should hit my last shift at Little Caesars first, okay? Maria's reaction makes it seem like she is at risk of getting caught doing something she shouldn't have, but the truth is she just fell asleep in her clothes, and this seems like a lot of effort to make sure people don't know you fell asleep in your clothes.
My dream, we had 6 kids.
6 kids? Maria Cat.
Scene does not contain a Mr. Mistopheles.
I'm gonna make quick work of the Jets.
The AFC East. Kissing through a sheet. It may feel sexy up until that moment your tongue hits fabric. Then it's an immediate 5 minutes of spitting and cursing the way that texture feels in your mouth.
A big, dumb Polak.
That's Polishist. Back in the day, Polish jokes were like an acceptable form of racism. I was throwing around those dumb jokes as a child without even thinking twice about it. Then one day my parents realized it might be bad to classify an entire country of people as dumb, so we changed them all to Buckeye jokes to make fun of people from Ohio. Humans are weird, man.
Marry him? I dance with him.
Yeah, and you did a whole song and dance number about running away together, so marriage is not a huge leap. But if you want to continue gaslighting your brother, that's on you.
Here, dead man, eat your eggs.
With foreshadowing that subtle, why not just go ahead and tell us when and how?
Mending pants and hemming neckties so that I can earn enough money to pay other girls to sew for me. So that someday I can rent a shop of my own.
Capitalism. Wait, is that a sin or a sin off in this case? Just a second, I need to run to social media real quick and see how I'm supposed to feel about this. Geez, does anyone in this town actually ever wear their clothing? Anita is acknowledging that people drive fast in America while singing in the street without looking both ways in America. The back and forth lyrics of the song America highlighting the promise and the racial inequality of this experiment at the same time is some of the best writing Sondheim has ever done. He was a genius, and I was never escaping this one without taking a sin off for his brilliance. I don't care what Lionel Richie says, dancing in the streets is rude. What, just because you're feeling in the mood to boogie? I've got to be late to my 5:30 beard shaping appointment? Blocking that much of your comics display when you could slide that jukebox down another 6 inches at least.
I want to do like Doc. Find me a Puerto Rican girl.
Saying this to Doc's wife.
What's forever? Like, I want to be with you forever.
You don't want to start maybe with I'd like to take you out to coffee?
Rita Moreno would win another Oscar at CinemaSins.
I want to take you to a shop full of nuts for a cream cheese sandwich on a raisin bread.
The movie wants me to believe this is an appropriate thing to say to someone before the first date. I always thought there was a time when the New York City subway looked shiny and new, but now I'm thinking the designers went with a distressed aesthetic right from the beginning. Tony fights this subway door and wins!
My brother, there's so much more against him than Riff.
Maria might be right, but what is this statement based on? She has got to know less about Riff than she does about Tony right now, and she hasn't even found out he went to prison.
How you go suck a pickle?
But what if they like sucking pickles? Chances are one of them has sucked a pickle before and liked it. This is why you have to be specific with your insults. Go suck a pickle rolled in shards of glass is much better, and has the added benefit of not being vaguely homophobic. Interrogating someone in front of their friends with the door wide open.
I said I ain't no goddamn girl.
Making anybody's explicitly trans in this version is one of several changes that address some of the issues of gender and race in the 61 version and try to do better. We've still got a long way to go, but I'm happy to give a son off for progress. Pretty sure most assault is a felony, so gee, Officer Krupke, please be more specific.
1, tell them what they want to hear. And 2, don't tell them nothing.
CinemaSins' strategy for interacting in the YouTube comments somehow makes it into the script. The horrendous traction on these guys' sneakers. Movie thinks anyone could ever have this much fun inside of a police station.
First time I saw this place, I was on a prison bus.
That's a weird way to see a museum. The hallways don't even look wide enough.
Don't laugh.
Telling someone to not laugh at your expressions of love when you just moments ago laughed at theirs.
I'm poor.
I'm poor.
Poverty competitions. I've heard this One Hand, One Heart song at approximately every wedding I've ever attended, and I'm sure it's beautiful and all, but there's a limit to how many times I can stand it when Etta James At Last is right f***ing there. Also, you know what would make this song even better? If these two had even a single solitary ounce of chemistry together. I don't need much. Maybe like enough to fill the Monopoly shoe piece? Halfway full? Half a Monopoly shoe's worth of chemistry would do it.
32s.
Colt shoots 22s.
A quick search of the interwebs revealed a Colt that shot 32s, so someone in this room has failed the test, but I'm not exactly sure who it was.
Mutually assured destruction.
Did this guy invent the phrase and then hand it off to his friend Donald Brennan half a decade later? Because everything I can find says that no one was saying this until 1962. In fact, Brennan made it up for the acronym MAD because he thought the idea was insane. And yet now it's used as a legitimate military strategy. So this sin is either for an anachronistic saying, our propensity towards violence, or language's ability to quickly evolve to contradict itself. Take your pick.
It's loaded. You don't go to cock it even.
Cock teases.
Gee willikers, Batman. Since when you carry a rod?
Well, I don't got magic powers like you, Superman, so I got this.
This is what happens when you let Kevin Smith write 2 lines of your Spielberg movie. It's like Crimson Tide all over again. Still better than Batman v Superman, though. Tony now has full control of the gun, but instead of immediately throwing it in the water, he decides to play a game of keep away with it, because movie tension has to movie tension, I guess.
All right, let's get some beer and some weed, and let's go to the zoo.
And they turned this down? I mean, the singing and dancing was one thing, but turning down weed, beer, and a trip to the zoo? My suspension of disbelief can only go so far. I honestly don't even think they're actually fighting over the gun anymore. Pow! 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 I will give all the sins back if someone can prove that one of these guys took this distributor cap to the Rumble and actually used it in the fight. This box of specifically selected weapons has a distributor cap. Synchronized signum cruisizing. Also, Anita is singing about getting her kicks tonight while she's supposed to be praying. And I'm pretty sure that's not what the priest meant by having your kingdom come. Not only is this pass between them at this exact moment artistically convenient, Maria should have 100% spotted the jetpack headed towards battle here and wondered what was up. Holy shit, this shot! Now imagine Stevie Spiels using this shot in a story no one has ever seen before. I mean, I've got a cinematographer boner too, but why are we wasting it on empty film masturbation? Both the Sharks and the Jets started their journey to the salt shed while the sun was up, but none of them got there until it was dark out. Either they've been walking around in circles for hours, or the salt shed is in Brooklyn, and this should really be called an occasionally West Side Story.
It's salt. For when the streets ice up.
All you need to know is that this character's name is Ice, and the delivery of that line was the only reason for the lights to be turned off. So then Convenient Chino shows up conveniently late to do conveniently just heavy enough that it needs two convenient people door to conveniently have a convenient moment of solidarity to conveniently convenient the later convenient tragedy. Did I convenient that right? Stop! Bringing a chest to a knife fight. Bernardo lets himself be stabbed because story. This guy survives this, and this guy survives this. It's surprising that no one other than Bernardo and Riff died here. I guess I could sin tossing the gun away instead of securing it so that the movie can continue its trauma porn, but the bigger sin is why did Tony pull it out of his pocket after the fighting stopped so that anybody's could even see it? We now take you directly from a knife fight where two major characters were stabbed to death into this fun little ditty about feeling pretty, witty, and bright, which is more than can be said about whoever's idea it was to move this song here. I mean, I might give them pretty, but witty and bright seem to be firmly out of reach. Maria throws a handful of sand at her cleaning buddies, who have just swept up in here, and they laugh instead of beating her to a lifeless pulp with their brooms. It bears noting that this song finishes by announcing that the reason for feeling pretty and witty and bright and charming is because she's loved by a wonderful boy, and I'm not saying that a little bit of the old infatuation can't do wonders for the self-esteem, but I hope she has someone in her life telling her that she can feel pretty and witty and bright without him, too, because she's about to be without him. I am an asshole, such an asshole. I am an asshole, sarcastic with spite. If they brought her in, then certainly they have some kind of inkling about who she's here to see. In what world do they show her Riff first? Bet you wish you hadn't been horny in church now, huh?
You let them take you from me. How do I forgive you for that?
Apparently, in the same way you easily and quickly are forgiving him for, oh, I don't know, killing your brother! Rita Moreno is a treasure, and this song is making me find a place for us to take another sin off! What? The literal Your lifelong bestie and her brother were stabbed to death just a few hours ago, and you were like, this feels like a perfect time to get naked together, baby. You know how we do. The Power of Boner's called. It says this one's on YouTube, freaks. Tony is supposed to be making a hasty exit, but of course he is going to linger just a little too long so Anita can see him and we can artificially amp up the tension. Not sure why I'm trying to help Maria with this, but Anita sings that a boy who kills cannot love, and Maria doesn't point out that Bernardo killed Riff, a point that seems relevant to the conversation. Also, this song is long, especially when you consider it's about 5 minutes of these two arguing over if she should be with a dude that stabbed her brother. This is not a hard conversation. It wasn't an accident. That dude flat out stabbed your flesh and blood's flesh, and watched the blood drain from his face because he was angry. This movie thinks it's about to get more tragic, but as long as Anita and Valentina survive, I don't care what happens to the rest of these Oh, and that's before we get to the worst part. Anita comes to her side about her being with him by the end because, you know, true love. True love.
Don't you do what Bernardo did.
The Sharks go from Bernardo was the best to don't be like Bernardo, and Chino goes from Bernardo was stupid to I'm going to be just like Bernardo. I don't know when or why this switch happened. When it's too difficult to find character motivations for changes, I guess plot motivations will have to do.
You kill a gringo, they kill you.
Also, I get that the appearance of the gun is significant, but this statement seems to ignore the fact that all the Sharks showed up at the Rumble with weapons. Sure, they were things like bricks, chains, and pipes, but you're pretty likely to kill someone with those things in a fight as well.
I wouldn't dance with a white boy.
Rhythm shaming.
Chino is gentle. He doesn't have a gun.
Apparently now he does.
Fun fact, apparently now he does was the writer's room mantra for character development in this movie. They put it in here as an Easter egg for the true fans.
I hope her cousin arrives safe from Santurce. And I'm sorry I can't be there.
This definitely not coded message almost works. It's eventually thwarted by plot convenience, but it seems like it shouldn't have made it past the detective at all.
How long's he figure on holding up down there?
Till the heat dies down. When's that gonna happen?
Probably not while all you idiots are gathered here in the place he's hiding out. Whose dumb idea was it for Jets Nation to pile into the drugstore where Tony is hiding?
You done good, buddy boy.
Finally accepting someone after you've belittled and abused them for the entire film.
Let me pass.
Oh, great. We're gonna throw a little sexual assault into the middle of the homicides and racism. This movie has more triggers than a Roy Rogers memorial stable.
Maria is dead.
Even though this is information that could be easily disproven or verified, everyone just believes the former girlfriend of the man he murdered because we've got tragedy to get to, yo.
No. There was no police.
Great point, Valentina. Why aren't the police here yet? Even before Maria gave the world's worst acting performance about sending Anita here to ask Valentina if her cousin had arrived safely, wouldn't Tony's job and home have been a place of interest in the case?
We're gonna name all our girls Valentina.
Well, that would just be confusing. Acting! Everyone should have known what Chino was capable of when he purposely created a tripping hazard in the middle of the dance floor. The latch on this suitcase. Movie fails to go full Romeo and Juliet and lets Maria live. Lame.
It was beauty killed the beast.
Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. People often forget that mental health is just as important as physical health. I know I do. If you're feeling like you need to speak to someone or you just need a mental health check-in, BetterHelp is an amazing online resource that allows you to do just that. Connect with a therapist in a safe and secure online environment, and know this isn't self-help. This is a real connection with an actual human being, and you don't even have to leave the house to do it. It takes about as much effort as watching a YouTube video to start your connection to BetterHelp. And hey, we can all watch YouTube, am I right? I mean, you're all the way at the end of this video. You get bonus points. Once you get started, you can send messages to your therapist anytime, check out information that's relevant to your needs, and book your next appointment all on the same page. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. Head to betterhelp.com/CinemaSins to answer a few questions and get paired up with a therapist within 48 hours. Get a whole 10% off your first month by clicking that link. Join over 2 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CinemaSins.
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy.
Walk this way.
What are the Jets if we got no territory?
That's right. Yeah. But he doesn't know the territory.
Oh yes, the big Charleston contest.
No. I mean, yeah. I like it.
I like it a lot.
I don't just like you.
You choose me?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Wow. Wow, a gun!
That's gonna leave a mark.
Gino!